I'm Jim Bitterman in Paris, and this is CNN.
Oman is reinventing itself. It's betting big on major infrastructure projects to future-proof its economy. From the new airport to strategic utilization of the country's natural resources, Oman is seeking to reboot by air, land and sea. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll travel the length of the Sultanate, meeting the movers and shakers who are helping drive the country's economic future forward. With its 2040 vision plan in place, all eyes are on Oman.
The airport experience. You can tell a lot about a country when you arrive, from the infrastructure to efficiency and a friendly hello. Welcome to Oman.
This is my first visit, and I'm excited to explore all the country has to offer. The airport is a good place to start. The expanded Muscat International Airport opened in early 2018, boasting a brand new $1.8 billion passenger terminal that is considered the cornerstone of Oman's economic strategy.
And those are the designer chairs that are only for Oman airports. Wherever you go in our 7 airports, you find those chairs.
The airport CEO says it was designed to showcase Omani heritage. From the architecture to the art, the airport even smells like Oman.
We went to air freshener companies and we demanded to have something from the local community, from the culture. And we found that the frankincense, which comes from the south region of the country, is a good representation to the country.
And this air freshener didn't exist before? You had to develop it yourself?
No. It was, made for Oman airports.
That's incredible. So you can smell the frankincense in all your airports in the country?
Yes.
The country's culture is also on display on board the national carrier, Oman Air.
Oman has a long history of hospitality, and that hospitality, we take it to the skies, with Oman Air. And as you land into Oman, that continues to the airport. And basically, you're coming into Oman. As you land into the airport, you're seeing Oman environment.
Oman's aviation sector was hit hard by the global pandemic at a time when it was expecting to grow. As people are starting to travel again, there is renewed optimism about the importance of the aviation sector and what it can do for the Omani economy going forward.
The aviation industry is a very interesting industry. It touches everything, for instance, from hotels to tourism to travelers, even to the simple taxi driver depends on the airline industry. For every dollar we spend, we contribute $5 or $6 into the national economy.
In terms of routes for Oman Air and growth, what are you thinking at the moment?
At the moment, we fly to 34 destinations, but through code sharing with other airlines, we can take people to more than 100 cities, all the way from North America to the Asia-Pacific region. So basically, we can connect our passengers to anywhere throughout the world.
So this is the biggest fleet we have in Oman Air.
Shata Al-Balushi has been a pilot for Oman Air since 2016. She says she is looking forward to seeing the airline industry recover from the pandemic.
Do I pick my seats?
And although she remains one of just a few female pilots for the airline, she hopes that will change too.
Okay. So you're a role model for young girls. How does that feel?
Many other female, they wanted to be a pilot, They even when they see me in the street and they know me, they ask me, so how is it? And how is Oman Air? How is the cockpit? They ask all these questions. So definitely they're interested now. They want to know more. They want to be like one of us.
With the new airport reopened and ready for business, the next step is attracting tourists.
Oman is offering tourism for ecotourism, adventure tourism, people who are looking to relax. The capacity of the industry itself, if we're talking hoteling example, now we've got world-class hotels in Oman. Oman offers it all, and it's year-round because we've got different seasons across the country.
There is no getting around the fact that it is hot in the summer. And with more than 3,000 kilometers of coastline, it's no surprise the seashore is one of the biggest draws. To get a closer look at Oman's natural beauty, we're heading out on the water with adventure tour operator Mark Evans.
Good morning.
Eleni.
What are you looking at?
Well, you've chosen a great day. You've
Yeah?
chosen a great day. The water's incredibly clear and there's a lot of life down here already.
It's gorgeous.
So I don't think we need to go out in the boat. You can go snorkeling here.
Absolutely beautiful. Lovely to meet you.
Yeah, you
Thanks
too.
for taking the time. I'm so excited.
Pleasure.
Wow. How lucky. Dolphins. Amazing. Look at
Oh.
that. We're surrounded by dolphins. I mean, it's truly spectacular.
With an escort of dolphins, we're sailing to an area just off the coast of Muscat called Bandar Al Kharan. It's known as a great place to go snorkeling, so that's exactly what we're going to do.
And if we're lucky, we might see a turtle.
I'm ready.
As luck would have it, we see a turtle straight away, and lots of other beautiful marine life as well. Mark is originally from the UK. He's always had a passion for the outdoors and has travelled the world. He came to Oman 17 years ago and decided to stay.
It is just such a perfect place to live. It's the size of my own country, Britain, but with only 4 million people. I can have 5G Wi-Fi in a beautiful coffee shop and a fantastic hotel, and yet within 2 hours drive I can be at 8,000 feet in the mountains, or in a desert the size of Belgium, or backpacking into the mountains to a little village where there's no electricity and no water. It's an incredible country, and I rarely lock my door. I feel incredibly safe, and the Omani people are very popular for a reason.
It feels like I'm in a land of contradiction where on one hand I'm seeing tradition and culture so entrenched in the way of doing things, but on the other end of the spectrum, the country wants to diversify and modernize on all fronts.
I think that's what makes Oman so special. It may not be the wealthiest country in the region, but in terms of thinking and wise leadership and growth at a pace that does not destroy the culture, but culture and economic development move forward hand in hand, Oman's got it pretty bang on, I would say.
The tourism sector is set to be one of the primary beneficiaries of the airport expansion. As part of its 2040 vision plan, Oman aims to attract more than 10 million visitors a year.
Tourism in Oman has been growing at about 8% a year. That is before the pandemic. And we expect that growth to continue. Oman is unique. Oman is Oman.
Living Golf, in association with Gulf Saudi.
When Arnold Palmer's professional career was in its infancy, nobody could have predicted the golden era that golf was about to enter, as three of the greatest to ever play the game became fierce rivals and lifelong friends.
Well, I think the excitement of television came along at that time. We didn't have television in the early days. There was a flare that seemed to happen at that time, and he was the charge for it.
That was quite extraordinary. I don't think you'll ever find another big three. We were a big three in friendship, like brothers. We traveled to China, we traveled to South Africa, we were all over Europe. We went all over the world, to Australia, everywhere together.
Living Golf, in association with Gulf Saudi.
We started the company about 20 years ago, and we did it with the premise that we wanted to create the next generation technology, something that would be disruptive, something that would enable the journey that we were going to get ready to embark upon, that was going to be many decades to come, in order to achieve our long-term goals and overall climate goals. We've founded the company on a premise of a circular economy. So the two primary materials that we use for our semiconductor, one is a byproduct of the mining of copper, and the other is a byproduct of the mining of zinc. And then we have an approach of recovering the vast majority of our semiconductors. So we started our recycling capabilities over a decade ago. When a product does reach its end of life, we recover over 90% of the materials that went into the product, and we recover essentially 100% of the semiconductor, and then reuse it for new production.
Oman has tradition dating back thousands of years, and if you want to truly capture the essence of the country, you come to a souk or a market like this one.
A busy market is usually a good indicator of a healthy economy.
Look at how pretty these shoes are.
Some items are imported, like these shoes, which I'm told are an Omani design, but made in India. Many other items sold here are locally sourced and produced.
I just love the smell of frankincense, and it literally penetrates the air, and that's because everyone literally is burning it at every stall you go. Hello, how are you? This is locally produced, yeah?
Yes, locally.
Okay, how much is this packet?
One packet is 2.5 euros.
Okay, sold.
Frankincense is an extremely important local resource, one that forms the foundation of one well-known Omani company.
Welcome, Eleni, to Amash.
Thank you so much. So good to be here. It smells really good in here. It smells really good.
Well, I'm glad you're saying that. It should smell good. We're at one of the most luxurious fragrance houses in the world.
Amouage is a small company by perfume standards, but a giant in Oman. Started in 1983, CEO Marco Pasiegla wants to double his business in the next 4 years and become the #1 independent fragrance house.
It's all about innovation. We have been innovating and we continue to innovate, and that's our duty for the industry as an authority to bring the innovation to the next boundaries possible.
Economists in Oman say niche companies like Amouage are delivering an important message to the rest of the world.
These are the tugs that we can pull people into Oman and say, hang on, if you've bought yourself a bottle of Amouage, wouldn't you like to visit the country? These are not going to be large industries, but they're going to be highly valuable, perhaps luxury brands, perhaps highly personalized brands, and I think those are going to be the ones that Oman is going to be remembered for.
So how many perfumes do you have in your portfolio?
Well, we have more than 50 different fragrances right now, and all of those are creations really to serve the different desires of our very discerning clients.
There are 3 main ingredients used in every Amouage fragrance, and they are all sourced right here in Oman. Frankincense, which comes from the Dhofar region in the south. Rock rose, a flower grown in the mountains in the northern part of the country. And ambergris, a foul-smelling substance that is commonly used in perfume. It's produced by a whale's digestive system and found washed up on the shores of Oman.
It's a long tradition.
I feel like I've got a lot more things to smell. Although, look, the sperm whale digestive,
well,
like you got me there.
Although Amouage is steeped in Omani culture and tradition, it is an international brand, with China, Italy and the US among its top 10 markets.
So we are actually having a fairly balanced footprint globally, and that gives us the strength to actually expand now internationally.
Growing beyond Oman's borders, but never forgetting its roots.
We believe our role is not just to run a business, but also to be an ambassador for Oman in the world. And we are very proud to be an Omani company.
Part of Oman's 2040 vision is to increase manufacturing capacity. So from producing niche products like perfumes to increasing industrial capacity, we take you to the city of Soha to show you how one company is tapping into another raw material.
The factory experience at Oman Aluminium Rolling Company is quite a bit different from Amouage. Dirty, gritty and very industrial. Oman hopes to attract more companies like this to give its manufacturing sector a boost. Mazen Al-Rubai is the company's sales and marketing manager. He says most of the aluminium they produce here is shipped to the United States. But this year, OAK is expanding its exports to Europe, the Middle East and India.
One of the most important priority for Oman Vision 2040 is to increase the non-oil and gas sector business to be about 90% of the GDP. And we think Oman Aluminium Rolling Company, it's providing the base for the downstream business for flat sheet product. So this is perfectly and as an example for diversifying from oil and gas business for industrial application and industrial building.
He says 80% of the employees here are Omani, and he sees his company as an example of how businesses can attract young people to work in the manufacturing sector.
So I think we need to do more by educating the new generations and the new graduate people who's looking for job. That's a lot of opportunities coming soon.
OAK operates in the free zone near the port of Soha. Next, we focus on how that is benefiting yet another important sector of Oman's economy.
This is the 100 Club, our look at companies that are 100 years old or older. Visit a bar or pub anywhere in the world, and chances are it has an Anheuser-Busch product on tap. It may be one of the largest brewing companies in the world today, but it started small in 19th century Middle America, St. Louis, Missouri.
In 1852, there was a brewery named as the Bavarian Brewery. Eberhard Anheuser was one of the chief creditors of the brewery, and he acquired it in 1860. And then later, Adolphus Busch joined him about 1864, and then ultimately became Anheuser-Busch.
The company grew and prospered through the turn of the 20th century before facing what would become its greatest challenge.
Prohibition started on January 16th, 1920. It was a time in our country's history where we couldn't brew our primary product.
The company adapted by turning to non-alcoholic beverages. Company CEO Michel Ducaris says rising to the challenge is part of the corporate DNA.
We went through war, we went through prohibition, we went through all the financial crises that the country and the world faced, and the company has been always adapting.
Ports are the lifeblood of trade and economic growth for coastal countries like Oman. Now the government is pumping billions of dollars into the sector, hoping to become a top 10 logistics player. The target, 300,000 jobs and a contribution of $36 billion to the country's GDP over the next 20 years, making it one of the largest contributors to economic growth.
The port of Soha in northern Oman is a breathtakingly massive facility, strategically located at the center of global trade routes between East and West. It is also at the center of Oman's strategy to boost its logistics sector.
Jonathan.
Hey, how are you?
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Good, good.
Mark Geilenkishen is the CEO of Soha Port and Free Zone. He came to Oman 5 years ago and has seen it through challenging times.
So we've had an oil crisis, we've had a pandemic, and still we did grow every single year, and we have been growing every single year since I've been here. So basically it's a big story of success, of new investments and new things coming into the port and into the free zone.
He says 68 million tons of cargo have come through the port this year, most of it industrial.
7 out of 10 products that you will see in this country come via our port.
The Asiad Group is Oman's national logistics hub. Established in 2016, it operates in the country's 3 deep-water ports and free zones.
We have to be ahead of the game in terms of technology, in terms of expansion, in terms of the people as well.
So our ports are very top efficient port. At the moment, we are ranked in the top 10 globally in terms of efficiency.
And businesses are benefiting from that efficiency. Like SPMP, which manufactures precious metals, antimony and gold. The company buys raw materials from all over the world, processes them and then ships out the finished product. Everything happens right here in the free zone at Soha port.
Our business is about antimony, but it's also about logistics. It's about getting the products to the site and getting the finished goods to the customer.
Joel Montgomery is the company's CEO. SPMP started construction in the Soha Free Zone in 2014 and began production in 2019. The company enjoys a big tax advantage for operating here.
In Oman, the free zone allows SPMP to import those concentrate globally and export our products without having to deal with all the tax and the import and export burden that typically is associated with bringing products in and out of a country.
We just offer you a one-stop shop. So you come to me and I'll take you through the process of everything. The permits you need, starting your company, getting through the chamber, to the Ministry of Commerce, getting your environmental permit, your electricity connection. You just come to us and we'll help you through the whole process.
Logistics impacts everything. Manufacturing, mining, even service industries and tourism. Growing the logistics sector is going to be key to helping Oman diversify away from oil.
So Oman its bread and butter is still oil, right? And it's going to be for a very long time. But I know that logistics is part of the strategy to try and help diversify the country and its reliance on oil. You're an Omani, you've been here your entire life. Do you think that's doable? Do you think that's possible?
I think, first of all, it's not an option. It's not an option anymore. We have to do it. I think everybody now believes that that oil is not there for the long term, and also everybody knows that oil is a finite resource. I mean, it's not going to stay forever. So we have to really seriously look at that. And to be honest, all what we're doing in terms of growth, in terms of expansions, it helps the logistics sector to flourish and become the key player.
Next, we head back out on water and focus on one of Oman's greatest natural resources.
It's not just about arrivals and departures. At Hamad International, every step of your journey through the airport has been considered in the terminal's design. HIA is a premium, diverse global hub.
We are very fortunate. We're right in the middle of big economies of the world, of Europe, China, India, and the Far East.
And their exceptional team of travel experts are driven to provide seamless experiences. Take a moment to reflect or prepare for the journey ahead in the Al Murjan Business Class Lounge, or unwind in the state-of-the-art golf simulator.
Here we don't have a city airport, it's the airport city. You have all the facilities a passenger would require under one roof.
It is growing through challenging and exceeding expectations. Hamad International Airport.
Fishing boats of all sizes fill the harbour and dot the coastline of the Gulf of Oman. Fishing is a way of life here and a big part of the culture. The country has one of the highest rates of fish consumption per capita, and most of the fish is caught by small-scale independent fishermen who sell their catch each morning at markets like this one in Muscat.
So the country relies on artisanal fishermen for 95% of the entire country's production, but the World Bank says that Oman is on its way to becoming a leading player in the fisheries sector.
Oman wants to get the most out of its natural resource without disrupting the livelihoods of these artisanal fishermen.
What we need to do is have either a formal system that goes, for example, into deeper fishing, for example, way off the coast where a typical fisherman finds it either more dangerous or more hazardous to go. But the other thing is, this type of fishing makes sure that our fishing stock is more sustainable for the future, rather than other countries have found that the experience of trolling and whatnot actually reduces the fish stock available. But The fact that we need to build around what is there rather than trying to disrupt people's lives.
Worcester Fisheries is trying to do just that with a new fleet of 3 commercial fishing vessels.
This country is very particular. Most of the continental shelf is within less than the 20 nautical miles, where most of the fish that the artisanal fishermen are dependent on. We operate in the slightly deeper water.
Al-Wahibi is visiting the newest vessel in his fleet. It's the first time he's seen it up and running. He says the ship is outfitted with the latest equipment and technology for catching large amounts of deep water fish, on average 200 tons per day, then freezing and packing them right on board. And it's all happening in an environmentally conscious way.
You can have your vessel to really be fit, ecologically, environmentally be right by deploying sensors within your nets. We call them TED, turtle exclusive devices, that is pushing all the big fish out. It gets automatically rejected from the nets. Then the nets, they are big enough to allow all the small fish out.
Oman is also investing heavily in aquaculture, more commonly known as fish farming, as a way to produce greater quantities of fish and seafood in a more sustainable way.
I have been in this industry for the last 20 odd years, and our fish have been reaching markets as far as Japan, Florida, in the US, New York, Canada, lots of places. I don't have a doubt that the aquaculture industry will be able to do a similar thing.
A massive new shrimp farm is under construction, set to begin operating next year. Production will begin slowly, but the infrastructure is being put in place now for future growth.
We have started late, and we might catch up by 2030 or something. But one of the things that we are trying now to establish is organic shrimp farming in Oman. And this is a niche market. It's becoming very popular in the States and Europe and even in China. People are eager to know what they are offered on the plate.
As the sun sets over Muscat, so our journey ends. We've shown you the character, the traditions, and the incredible economic opportunities of this country. And now there's a quest to move away from oil and diversify the economy and tap into new economic frontiers. The message is clear: Oman is open for business.
The all-new Aramco Team Series.